Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about Sino-speak, or the language of Scientology. And everything that I'm going to talk about today is in my book, Understanding Scientology, the Demon Cult. I didn't write my books to make a lot of money. I wrote my books to explain what happened to me in Scientology, but even more to explain what will happen to you in Scientology. So if you want to read about what might happen to you in Scientology, you can get my books on Amazon.com under Margery Wakefield. Today we're going to talk about the language of Scientology. In many cults, there is a language that's unique to the cult, and this is especially true of Scientology. One man named Robert J. Lifton wrote a book called The Thought Reform and the Psychology of Totalism, which was a book about Chinese prisoners of war. But much of that book aptly applies to cults, such as Scientology. He wrote, "The language of the totalist environment, such as Scientology," that was me, not Lifton, "is characterized by the thought-terminating cliché. The most far-reaching and complex of human problems are compressed into brief, highly reductive, definitive-sounding phrases, easily memorized and easily expressed. These become the start and finish of any ideological analysis." He says, loaded language is the language of non-thought. And I'm going to describe how this works in Scientology. I wrote a little story. You probably won't understand it, but any ex-Scientologist or Scientologist would understand the story. It starts, two Scientologists meet on the street. "How are you doing?" one asks the other. "Well, to tell the truth, I've been a bit out roots lately because of a PTP with my second dynamic, because of some bypass charge having to do with my mess at her apartment. When I moved in, I gave her an R factor, and I thought we were in ARC about it. But lately she seems to have gone a bit PTS. So I recommended that she see the MAA at the AO to blow some charge and get her ethics in. He gave her a review to FN and VGIs, but she did a roller coaster. So I think there's an SP somewhere on her lines. I tried to audit her myself, but she had a dirty needle and BIs and was acting really 1-1. So I finally sent her to Qual to spot the N theta on her line. Other than that, everything's fine." There is no Scientologist anywhere to whom that explanation or story wouldn't make perfect sense. Like a secret code, the language of Scientology helps members identify and bond with each other, and creates an invisible but effective boundary between the cult and the WOG or outside world. As anyone in the advertising world knows, if you want to control a person's behavior, you must first control his thought. Hubbard did that in Scientology through the prolific propaganda in written bulletins, tapes, and films to which members are constantly exposed. A more subtle form of thought control was achieved by Hubbard through the creation of a new language, Scientologese, or Sino-speak, understood and used only within the cult. How is thought restricted by the language in Scientology? In several ways. Many of the new words are formed by changing the part of speech of an existing noun, usually from a verb or an adjective into a noun. The nouns used in Scientology are black and white, concrete, and they have concrete meanings. There are no shades of gray in the Scientology vocabulary. Scientology makes extensive use of acronyms and abbreviations, but modifiers are almost non-existent. One could probably exist for 10 years in Scientology without ever using an adverb or an adjective. Hubbard was fond of transforming verbs, words of action, into nouns, more static nouns. Examples include assist, which means to help, becomes in Scientology an assist, one of the auditing processes of Scientology. For example, would you like me to give you an assist? The verb to be is turned into a noun in the Scientology word beingness. Similarly transformed are doingness, havingness, knowingness, rightness, wrongness, livingness, and isness. The verb to confront becomes a noun, confront. For example, doing training routines will increase a person's confront. The verb to motivate becomes a noun in motivator. For example, Bill pulled in a motivator when he had his accident. Even the word clear in Scientology has been transformed into a noun from the adjective of the same name. As an example of how thought is restricted in these English to Scientology transformations, the word clear in English has at least 30 different definitions. Free of clouds, having no blemishes, free from guilt, passing without contact, making a profit, etc. In Scientology, the word clear has one very concrete meaning. A person who has completed the clearing course in Scientology. Another example is the word release, which in English has 9 different definitions, including to set free, to let loose, to release from an obligation, to be set free from pain, to permit to be issued, etc. In Scientology, a release refers to one thing, someone who has completed one of the lower levels of Scientology auditing. Acronyms and abbreviations are common in Scientology. Again, a way of abbreviating thought. Acronyms can be part of the organization. Some examples are CO, SO, Sea Organization, GO, Guardian's Office, OSA, Office of Special Affairs, AO, Advanced Organization, ASHO, American Saint Hill Organization, and CMO, Commodore's Messenger Organization. There's also the RPF, the Rehabilitation Project Force, which is the prison in Scientology. Acronyms can also have to do with time. AD, after Dianetics, and BD, before Dianetics. There are many acronyms that have to do with the technical processes of auditing, such as BIs, bad indicators, VGIs, very good indicators. CS, case supervisor. FN, floating needle. BPC, bypass charge. TA, tone-arm action. EP, and phenomena. And TR, training routine. Acronyms can refer to things you can be. SP, suppressive person. PTS, potential trouble source. Or OT, operating Thetan. Many of the words in Scientology are simply shortened, rendering thought even less necessary than it already was. Examples: AC, acknowledgement. Admin, administration. Tech, technical. Qual, qualification. Inval, invalidation. Eval, evaluation. Org, organization. Rudes, rudiments. R factor, reality factor. Sec, or sec check, a security check. And E-meter, if I can say it right, it's an electropsychometer, the machine you use and hold on to in auditing. The final category of language in Scientology has to do with words that are appropriated directly from English and are given new meanings within the framework of Scientology. Although the original word in English may have had a variety and shades of meaning, the new Scientology meaning will be unique and concrete. The word affinity in English can refer to either a physical or emotional closeness. In Scientology, affinity is used to replace the word love and its many connotations. Love is not used in Scientology. Affinity means a willingness to be close to and share the same space with, or a liking for someone. You say, I have an affinity for Joe. You don't say, I love Joe. We'll take a short break here.